That penny in your pocket might not be worth just 1 cent. Some Lincoln cents are rare collectibles worth hundreds or even thousands. Before you spend it, let's see if you're holding a hidden treasure. The 1961 US 1-cent penny is one of those coins that carries more history, value, and intrigue than most people could ever imagine. At face value, it's just a penny, something so ordinary that it hardly gets noticed when it passes from hand to hand. Yet, in the world of coin collectors and numismatists, the 1961 penny has earned a reputation as a coin that can transform the perception of what a single cent is truly worth. Some rare examples of this coin have fetched extraordinary amounts of money at auction, with values ranging from $64,000 to $146,000 depending on condition, rarity, and the specific variety. That's right, what was once a coin that could barely buy a stick of gum has, in some cases, become a life-changing piece of American history. The 1961 penny belongs to the Lincoln cent series, which began in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most beloved presidents in U.S. history. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin introduced the iconic profile of Lincoln to American coinage. On the obverse, Lincoln's bust faces to the right, accompanied by the motto "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1961 to the right. On the reverse, at that time, the design still featured the wheat ears design, often called the wheat penny, which had been in use since 1909. However, by 1959, the reverse was changed to the Lincoln Memorial design, created by Frank Gasparo, to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. Thus, the 1961 penny displays the Lincoln Memorial on its reverse, making it part of the memorial cent era. What makes the 1961 penny so significant in the numismatic world? First, it was minted in extremely high numbers. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 753 million pennies, while the Denver Mint produced more than 1.7 billion. With such huge numbers, you'd think the coin would be far too common to ever hold extraordinary value. But rarity in numismatics often doesn't come from mintage numbers alone. It comes from special conditions, minting errors, unique varieties, and the preservation of coins in extraordinary states of quality. And the 1961 penny is no exception. One of the key factors that elevates the value of the 1961 penny is its condition. Most pennies circulated heavily, being tossed into cash registers, pockets, piggy banks, and jars over the decades. That means they developed scratches, wear, discoloration, and other flaws. But on rare occasions, a coin survives untouched, remaining in pristine, brilliant red condition. These coins, graded by professional services such as PCGS and NGC, often achieve designations like MS67 Red or even higher. Such coins are extraordinarily rare, and collectors are willing to pay staggering amounts for them, pushing their values into that astonishing range of $64,000 to $146,000. Another factor that makes certain 1961 pennies valuable is minting errors. These errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process at the U.S. Mint. For example, some 1961 pennies have been discovered with double die obverse or reverses, where the design elements appear doubled due to a misalignment in the die engraving process. Doubling on Lincoln's face, lettering, or the Lincoln Memorial can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a high-value rarity. Other errors include off-center strikes, where the design appears shifted to one side, broad strikes, where the coin is struck outside the collar and expands larger than normal, and even coins struck on the wrong planchet, such as dimes or foreign coin blanks. These types of errors are incredibly appealing to collectors because they represent rare accidents in the mint's otherwise meticulous production process. Auction houses and private sales have shown just how powerful the demand is for rare 1961 pennies. Collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents or error coins often compete fiercely for the best specimens. Stories abound of coins being sold for tens of thousands of dollars after being rediscovered in old collections or inherited from relatives who saved coins decades earlier without realizing their future value. That thrill of discovery, the idea that a penny sitting in a jar on a shelf could be worth more than a brand new car, is what keeps collectors searching and the market alive. The 1961 penny also has a historical connection that resonates with collectors. By that year, America was entering a new decade, one defined by optimism, change, and significant events. John F. Kennedy had just been inaugurated as president. The Cold War was intensifying, and cultural shifts were beginning to reshape American life. To many, the coins minted in 1961 carry a symbolic connection to that transformative time. Holding a penny from that year is like holding a tiny artifact of that moment in history, a tangible reminder of what life was like. The artistry of the coin also deserves recognition. Lincoln's profile, designed by Brenner, has become one of the most iconic images in American coinage. By 1961, it had already been in use for over 50 years, and it has continued to remain in use well into the 21st century, making it the longest-running design in U.S. coin history. The Lincoln Memorial Reverse, introduced just 2 years earlier in 1959, provided a new perspective by showing the monument built to honor the very man whose image graces the obverse. Collectors often appreciate this dual symbolism, Lincoln's portrait paired with the monument built in his honor, making the coin a small but powerful piece of American culture. For collectors today, the message of the 1961 penny is clear: never overlook the small details. A coin that seems ordinary can, upon closer inspection, reveal itself to be something extraordinary. Whether it's a double die, an off-center strike, or simply an example preserved in flawless red condition, the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth up to $146,000 often comes down to the tiniest details visible under magnification. The popularity of Lincoln cents ensures that coins like the 1961 penny will always have a strong following. Collectors love assembling complete sets of Lincoln cents, and having one of the rarities, whether it's a high-grade gem or a dramatic error coin, can be the highlight of a collection. That demand, combined with the rarity of top-quality examples, ensures that the market for these coins remains strong year after year. It's worth reflecting on the sheer irony of it all. A coin meant to be worth just a cent, something so insignificant in everyday commerce, can reach values that rival fine art, rare antiques, and luxury items. The 1961 penny is proof that value is not always tied to the original purpose of an object, but can instead be tied to its story, its uniqueness, and the passion it inspires in those who seek it out. And when you hear of coins from this year selling for $64,000 to $146,000, it's a reminder that even the humblest objects can carry incredible worth. So the next time you come across an old penny, take a closer look. It may not just be a piece of change. It may be a link to history, a rare minting error, or even a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. The 1961 1-cent penny shows us that in the world of numismatics, anything is possible, and the journey of discovery is as rewarding as the coins themselves. The 1972 United States 1-cent penny might seem like just another copper coin that millions of people handled every single day. For most, it was the type of coin you'd find at the bottom of a purse, tucked away in a car cup holder, or rattling inside a piggy bank without giving it a second thought. But what most people don't realize is that this penny carries an extraordinary story, one that takes it from being worth a single cent to being valued as high as $55,000 to $132,000 in rare cases. That leap from pocket change to a small fortune is what makes the 1972 penny one of the most fascinating modern coins in American numismatics. The penny, as many know, features Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner and first released in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By the time 1972 rolled around, Lincoln's profile had been on the cent for over 6 decades, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. history. On the obverse of the 1972 penny, Lincoln faces right with the word liberty on one side and the motto "In God We Trust" above. Below the bust lies the year 1972, a date that most people have seen so often that they don't think twice about it. On the reverse, the coin displays the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, with the inscriptions United States of America and E Pluribus Unum, along with the denomination 1 cent. If you look closely at this design, you can even see a tiny figure of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial, making it one of the few coins in history to feature the same person on both sides. Now, with billions of pennies minted in 1972 across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, you might think there's nothing special about them. But hidden within these massive mintages are rare varieties and errors that make some 1972 pennies among the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. These are the coins that transform a humble cent into a collectible worth tens of thousands of dollars. One of the most famous errors from this year is the 1972 double die obverse. This variety is so dramatic that you can spot it without a magnifying glass. The doubling is most visible on the inscriptions Liberty and I in God We Trust, where the letters appear doubled, almost as though they are blurred. Even the date 1972 itself can show strong doubling. Coins with this error are incredibly rare, and because they were created from a mistake in the die hubbing process, each one is a unique marker of history. Collectors prize these coins because they represent both a minting flaw and a one-of-a-kind rarity. High-grade examples of the 1972 double die penny have sold for staggering amounts at auction, with prices reaching anywhere from $55,000 to $132,000 depending on condition and demand. Just imagine pulling a penny out of your change jar, only to discover it's worth more than a luxury car, or even more than the average American's annual salary. That's the kind of life-changing surprise the 1972 double die penny offers. But the story of the 1972 penny doesn't end with the double die variety. Collectors also seek out other mint errors from this year. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin was struck incorrectly, are highly collectible. So are coins struck on the wrong type of metal blank, such as a dime planchet. These errors, while rarer, can bring significant premiums at auctions and private sales. In fact, error coins often spark fierce bidding wars because no two are ever exactly alike. Another key factor that determines value is grade. Most pennies enter circulation and quickly pick up scratches, nicks, and discoloration from handling. But those that manage to survive in nearly perfect condition, graded MS66, MS67, or even MS68 by professional grading services, are exceedingly rare. Combine such a high grade with the double die variety, and you're looking at a coin that collectors will pay an absolute fortune to own. This is where we see values climbing toward that upper range of $132,000. The thrill of finding a 1972 penny with such unique traits is what drives collectors and treasure hunters alike. Stories circulate of people discovering one of these rare coins in ordinary pocket change or coin rolls from the bank. These tales fuel the imagination because they remind us that a simple penny could turn out to be a priceless gem hiding in plain sight. It's like a modern-day treasure hunt, where patience, knowledge, and a sharp eye can yield incredible rewards. Beyond its rarity and value, the 1972 penny also represents a fascinating chapter in American history. The early 1970s were a time of change and turbulence in the country. Vietnam, Watergate, and shifting cultural tides defined the decade. Against that backdrop, the penny remained a steady and familiar piece of currency, quietly circulating in the hands of millions. Yet, unbeknownst to most, a few of those pennies carried with them the quirks of the minting process, destined to become treasures decades later. Collectors today recognize the 1972 double die penny as one of the most important varieties of the Lincoln Cent series. Alongside other famous varieties like the 1955 double die and the 1969 S double die, the 1972 error has become a must-have for serious numismatists. Its value continues to rise, fueled by both scarcity and demand. The fact that these coins are relatively modern, yet already commanding such extraordinary sums, makes them especially intriguing. Imagine walking into an auction room where a 1972 penny is up for bidding. The auctioneer starts the bidding at a few $1,000s, and hands begin shooting up. The price climbs higher and higher, $20,000, $40,000, $60,000, as collectors battle for ownership. By the time the gavel falls, the coin sells for six figures, and everyone in the room is reminded once again that even the smallest coin can hold enormous value. That drama, that suspense, is part of what makes coin collecting so endlessly fascinating. For everyday people, the lesson is simple. Check your change. Don't dismiss a coin just because it's old, small, or common at first glance. The 1972 penny proves that extraordinary treasures can hide in the most ordinary places. A penny worth $55,000 to $132,000 doesn't look all that different from one worth just a cent, until you know what to look for. That awareness, that attention to detail, can make all the difference. The magic of the 1972 penny lies not only in its potential monetary value but also in what it represents about chance, history, and human curiosity. A coin created as a routine piece of currency has become a rare artifact, telling a story of both human error and the relentless pursuit of collectors to preserve and cherish these mistakes. It is proof that the world of coins is not static but dynamic, full of surprises and opportunities for discovery. So the next time you come across a handful of pennies, take a closer look. Among the scratches and tarnish, you might just find a coin that carries within it not just a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, but also the potential to change your life. The 1972 penny is a reminder that value can hide in the smallest details, and sometimes the tiniest coin can hold the biggest surprise. The 1995 1-cent penny is one of those coins that looks completely ordinary at first glance, the kind of coin that most people have held in their hand thousands of times without giving it any thought. A small copper-plated piece with Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait on the front, and the Lincoln Memorial on the back, minted by the millions, spent by the millions, and tucked away in jars, pockets, and drawers all across America. Yet hidden within the ocean of 1995 pennies are examples that are anything but ordinary, coins so rare, so pristine, or with such unique features that they've gone on to sell at jaw-dropping prices. Some of these 1995 pennies have shocked collectors by fetching between $46,000 and $124,000, transforming a simple 1-cent piece into a true treasure of American coinage. To understand why the 1995 penny holds such a powerful position in the world of numismatics, you first have to look at its history. By 1995, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for 86 years. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it replaced the Indian head cent and became the first regular U.S. coin to feature the likeness of a real person. The obverse portrait of Lincoln was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it remains one of the most recognizable designs in all of American coinage. The reverse at that time still featured the Lincoln Memorial, which had been introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This design remained in place until 2008, and by 1995 it had already been a familiar sight for decades. While most 1995 pennies are common, the year stands out in the collecting world for one very important reason: the double-die obverse variety. Among the millions of pennies struck that year at the Philadelphia Mint, a small number were created with an unmistakable error. The double-die effect occurs during the hubbing process, when a die that strikes the coins is misaligned in such a way that it creates a duplicate image slightly offset from the original. In the case of the 1995 double-die penny, the doubling is most clearly visible in the inscriptions "Liberty" and "I in God We Trust." The letters appear almost as if they are shadowed or overlapped, giving the coin a striking appearance that is immediately recognizable even to the untrained eye. Collectors quickly noticed this error, and it has since become one of the most famous and desirable modern double-die varieties. While it's true that not every 1995 penny has this error, those that do can command impressive prices, especially in high grades. Circulated examples may be worth far more than face value, but it's the mint state coins, those that escaped the wear and tear of circulation, that have driven the market into the extraordinary. When a coin shows crisp doubling and nearly flawless surfaces, collectors know they're looking at something special, and they are willing to bid fiercely to add it to their collections. It's here that the values start to climb into that staggering $46,000 to $124,000 range. At first, this might seem impossible. How can a penny be worth more than a brand new luxury car or even a house in some parts of the country? But coin collecting has always been about rarity, condition, and demand, and the 1995 double-die penny checks all those boxes. The error itself is rare compared to the overall mintage. The number of surviving high-grade examples is even rarer, and demand has only grown as the coin became more famous, featured in books, coin shows, and countless articles. All these factors converge to push the value of this coin into territory most people would never expect for a 1-cent piece. Beyond the double-die variety, there's also the factor of high-grade standard 1995 pennies. Even coins without errors can become valuable if they survive in extraordinary condition. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, ranging from 1 for heavily worn examples to 70 for perfect, flawless specimens. Finding a 1995 penny graded MS-68 or higher is exceptionally difficult, and such coins are prized by registry collectors who compete to build the finest sets in the world. When two determined collectors go head-to-head in an auction for the top population coin, the price can skyrocket. It's in this competitive atmosphere that even ordinary-looking 1995 pennies have achieved prices rivaling or surpassing those of rare error coins, sometimes breaking into that $46,000 to $124,000 range. Another aspect that fuels interest in the 1995 penny is its accessibility. Unlike some rare coins that exist in only a handful of examples, the 1995 double die is a coin that the average person has a chance of finding. Many collectors first encountered it in circulation, tucked among their change, which made the discovery feel attainable and exciting. This accessibility has only increased the variety's popularity, ensuring a strong base of collectors who want one for their own. The thrill of knowing a penny in your pocket could be worth tens of thousands is part of what makes this coin so engaging. The story of the 1995 penny also highlights the changing nature of coin collecting. For many years, the most valuable coins were older ones, classic gold, silver dollars, early American coppers. But modern errors like the 1995 double die show that treasures can still be found among relatively recent issues. This has drawn in a new generation of collectors, people who might not have the resources to chase 19th century rarities, but who can appreciate the excitement of discovering modern varieties. The 1995 penny represents this bridge between the old and the new, a modern coin that carries classic value. Auction records tell the real story of just how much collectors are willing to pay. Time and again, 1995 double die pennies in top grades have appeared at major auction houses, where competitive bidding has driven prices into the tens of thousands. Reports of individual sales reaching between $46,000 and $124,000 aren't just rumors. They are the real results of passionate bidding wars between collectors who know just how important this coin is. These moments set benchmarks that only fuel future sales, reinforcing the penny's status as a modern legend. It's also worth mentioning that the 1995 penny is part of a broader series of double dies and other error coins that fascinate collectors. From the famous 1955 double die to the 1972 and beyond, the 1995 fits into a narrative of coins that stand out not just for their mistakes, but for the way they captured the public's imagination. When people think of modern double dies, the 1995 penny is often one of the first that comes to mind. Its popularity keeps it relevant, ensuring its place in the spotlight for decades to come. As time passes, the number of pristine examples will only dwindle. Coins get mishandled, damaged, or lost, and the population of top-grade specimens shrinks. This natural scarcity will likely continue to push values higher, making the 1995 penny not just a fascinating collectible, but also a potential long-term investment. Collectors who secure one now, especially at the higher grade levels, may find that its value only increases with time. For anyone interested in coins, the lesson here is simple. Never underestimate the power of the penny. A coin that most people overlook can turn out to be one of the most valuable in modern U.S. history. The 1995 1-cent penny, particularly in its double die obverse form or in near-perfect condition, stands as proof of this. From a face value of just 1 cent to a potential value of $46,000 to $124,000. It's a reminder that treasures are still out there waiting to be discovered, often hiding in plain sight. Collectors today continue to search their change, sift through coin rolls, and examine their old jars of pennies, hoping to stumble upon one of these modern marvels. The dream of finding a life-changing coin, the excitement of holding history in your hands, and the possibility of turning something so ordinary into something extraordinary. That is what makes the 1995 penny so captivating. It's not just a coin. It's a story, a mystery, and a piece of American heritage rolled into one. The US 2010 1-cent penny might look like the most ordinary coin in your pocket, something you'd hand over at the store without ever thinking twice. But beneath that small copper-plated surface lies a story of history, artistry, and value that could turn a single penny into a jaw-dropping prize worth anywhere from $34,000 to $86,000. That's right, what looks like just 1 cent to most people has the potential to be worth tens of thousands of dollars in the right condition. And it's this mix of everyday familiarity and rare treasure that makes the 2010 penny such a fascinating subject for collectors and historians alike. BY 2010. The penny had already gone through more than a century of evolution. First introduced in 1909 with Abraham Lincoln's portrait to celebrate his 100th birthday, the Lincoln cent quickly became one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history, Over the years, its reverse designs changed, from the wheat ears in 1909 to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959, and then to the Lincoln Bicentennial designs in 2009, which honored both his life and his legacy. In 2010, the U.S. Mint unveiled the Shield Reverse, a bold new design that symbolized Lincoln's role in preserving the Union. The obverse still featured Victor David Brenner's classic portrait of Lincoln, while the reverse showed a shield with a banner inscribed E Pluribus Unum. It was a simple but powerful image, representing strength and unity, making the 2010 penny not only a continuation of history but also a fresh chapter in American coinage. Most people see billions of these coins struck every year and assume they're all the same, but collectors know that hidden within these masses are coins that stand out. In 2010, the Mint at Philadelphia and Denver produced enormous numbers of pennies, along with special proof versions struck in San Francisco for collectors. But among these, a small number have survived in extraordinary condition or carry unusual minting errors, turning them into rare prizes. It's these special pieces that push the value of a coin you'd expect to be worth just a cent into that remarkable range of $34,000 to $86,000. The key factor that elevates certain 2010 pennies is condition. Coins fresh from circulation quickly pick up scratches, nicks, and signs of wear, and once that happens, their collector value drops dramatically. But coins that manage to survive in nearly perfect condition, often those pulled directly from mint sets or found right after being struck, can be graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC at the highest levels, like MS68 or even MS69. For such modern coins, these grades are exceedingly rare, and when one surfaces, collectors are willing to pay staggering sums to secure it. A flawless 2010 penny becomes not just a coin but a showcase piece, something that can complete a set at the highest possible level, which is why values soar so high. But condition alone isn't the full story. Minting errors are another reason certain 2010 pennies are so highly prized. Errors occur when something goes wrong in the minting process. Planchets misaligned, dies doubled, or designs struck off-center. A double die error, for example, might create slight but visible doubling in the lettering or numbers, turning a standard penny into a one-of-a-kind rarity. Collectors love these coins because they shouldn't exist at all, and the unusual details make them stand out immediately. In fact, error coins are often among the most valuable because they combine rarity with intrigue, and for the 2010 penny, such errors have pushed values into that remarkable $34,000 to $86,000 range. To understand why collectors are willing to spend so much, it helps to look at the bigger picture. Coins are not just money, they're history you can hold in your hand. The 2010 penny marks the beginning of a new reverse design after the Lincoln Bicentennial celebrations of 2009, making it a transitional year that collectors especially prize. Transitional coins often gain extra attention because they represent change and new beginnings, which makes them essential for completing collections. That added historical weight means the 2010 penny carries importance far beyond its face value. Auctions bring these stories to life. When a high-grade 2010 penny or an error example appears, it doesn't just quietly change hands. It sparks bidding wars, with collectors driving the price higher and higher. Auction houses have seen modern pennies in pristine condition sell for tens of thousands of dollars, leaving audiences stunned that something so small and seemingly insignificant could carry such a massive price tag. It's in these moments that the $34,000 to $86,000 value range becomes real, as collectors prove just how much they're willing to pay for rarity, perfection, and history all wrapped up in a single cent. What makes this story even more captivating is the thought that such a coin could still be out there, sitting unnoticed in a drawer, jar, or change pile. Every time someone picks up a penny dated 2010, there's the possibility, small though it may be, that it could be one of those rare, nearly flawless survivors or error coins worth thousands. That sense of possibility fuels the passion of collectors and keeps the hunt alive. After all, it's not just about owning a valuable coin, it's about the thrill of the search and the dream that you might stumble upon a treasure hidden in plain sight. The 2010 penny also connects to broader themes in American coinage. As costs of production continue to rise, debates about the future of the penny have grown louder, with some arguing it should be eliminated altogether. This gives each modern penny, particularly those tied to pivotal years like 2010, an added layer of historical context. If the penny were ever retired, Owning a pristine or error example from the early 21st century would become even more desirable, ensuring that its value only grows in the future. Collectors often say that coins tell stories, and the 2010 penny tells one of transition, resilience, and hidden value. It reminds us that even in an age of digital transactions, when coins are often overlooked or discarded, they still carry immense potential. For those who appreciate history, design, and the thrill of rarity, the 2010 penny is a shining example of why numismatics remains such a compelling field. So the next time you come across a penny dated 2010, don't just dismiss it as another coin in your pocket. Take a closer look. Check its condition, study the details, and see if it might hold something extraordinary. Because while most are worth only a cent, a select few are treasures valued between $34,000 and $86,000. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. How the ordinary can suddenly become extraordinary. How a single cent can become a priceless piece of history.